Hello, hope everyone's having a great day today. It's a pretty nice day over here in South Carolina. But today's video is going to be on planting these peach trees. So what we're working on is becoming more self-reliant. We're going to be planting fruit trees along this fence line, across the other direction as well. We'll be doing peach trees, apple trees, plum trees, pear trees. Hopefully some orange and lemon trees. And we have already got banana trees, so that's taken care of. Then we'll also be planting raspberry bushes, maybe some grapes along this fence line right here as well. We're eventually, sometime this year, here in the near future, going to be planting a garden. I haven't decided where I want to put it yet, but got about 2¼ acres here to work with. There's this section, and then we've also got this section back over here, and that's at this property. So you guys probably saw from my previous video, we've got about 14¼ acres over up in another area of South Carolina, about 40 minutes from here, and I'm planning on doing a homestead there, slowly working on it to get it ready. We'll be building a shipping container castle there. 17 containers is what the house is going to be built out of, but I'll do a build series of that. Now let's get back to this. So to plant peach trees, typically trees in general, what you want to do is make the hole at least twice as wide as the root ball. I like to go wider than that, just so there's more structure that it has, or more area that it has for the root systems to develop better in. You want the soil to be loose around the area where you are planting the tree, because it allows for the root systems to grow out easier and become established, and it also helps keep more air in the soil. You don't want to pack it down. When you put it in there, you want to put it in there loose. You can push down on it a bit, but you don't want to do it too much. Another thing that you'll want to do too is if you're going to be leaving the tree inside of the pot, you'll want to take some soil from the area that you'll be planting in, such as me right here or this, and you would want to mix some of that soil in with the soil with the tree if you're going to leave it in there for any period of time. That way it can start to acclimate to that soil condition. If you're taking it straight out of the pot, when you go to plant this tree, you'll knock off that soil from around the root ball, and you will mix the native soil in with it. That way it doesn't create as big of a shock to the tree. If you don't do that, what will tend to happen is the root ball will want to stay in the same soil condition. So mixing the soil in from the area that you're planting it in will prevent that from happening. It'll allow the tree to branch out more, because it's not going to want, it doesn't have that concentration of that same type of soil to be in. Also, typically when you transplant a tree, it does create a shock to the tree. They do have treatments that you can add in when you plant a tree. It's a shock treatment. It can be a good idea to do that. I try not to if I don't have to, but basically it's a bunch of vitamins and minerals and stuff and other things that help boost it to give it the nutrients that it needs quicker. It is a good idea to do that, but I don't typically do it unless I'm planting trees for someone else. But my dad was a certified arborist in Arizona, and I did tree work with him for many years, so I learned a lot of this from doing that. So what I'm doing is I got my hole dug out, I got the soil where the root ball is going to sit, I've got it all dug out and put back in there loose. So I'm going to have to fill it in a little bit more probably to get it high enough, because you want the root ball of the tree to be, you'll go down until you find the root ball. You'll typically know what it looks like because it's going to be a little bit bigger. There's going to typically be a little bit of a hump where the root ball will be. This is in pretty deep. But what you want is that root ball even with the ground level of the soil that you're going to have the tree in, or sticking up just a teeny bit above it, like a ½ inch above it or so. You don't want to bury that root ball down below the surface because it's not as good for the tree. It won't grow as well as it should. These peach trees need to be planted in an area where they're going to get 6 to 8 hours of sunlight a day, because these peach trees like sunlight. Peach trees are also self-pollinating, so you can get away with planting one at a time and it will produce fruit. They will still do better if you plant more than one though. So I'm planting 2 of them beside each other. That way they can help each other produce a little bit more fruit. It's not necessary, like I said, but it does help them out a little bit. So I'll be taking this tree out now and putting it down to the ground. I'll have to check the depth and fill it in accordingly. Hand the phone off. Well, I already know that I'm gonna have to fill it in a little, because I can tell just by looking at it. You could set the pot down in there and see, but I can tell just by looking at it, it's going to be too deep right now. And you don't want it to be too deep. It's really not good for the tree. So we're going to fill this in a bit. And then I'll smooth it out a little bit. Keep the stick out. It doesn't matter if you have some of the grass in there with it, that's not a big deal. And then what I also like to do when I am doing this is I like to get some of the grass clippings, leaves in my mulch pile. I want to do that, get some of that and mix it in here a little bit, so I have a bucket of that. And it just helps hold some of that moisture in to the soil when you water it. Typically when you first plant a peach tree, you will want to, it'll take about a gallon of water a day for the first couple weeks, and then after that you can typically reduce it down to a gallon of water every other day until the middle of the summer hits, where it starts to get hot. And then what you'll want to do is add in a gallon of water a day again if the conditions start to get too hot. You'll typically know that because the tops of the trees will start to die off a little bit. They'll start to get brown, and if that's the case, then it's not getting enough water. So let's see how, get this out of here, see where we're at now. So you don't want to pack it down. I'll get this tree, put it in. Still too deep, because remember our root ball is down lower below this soil. So we'll throw in a little bit more. Try that. Throw some more of this mulch in. I tried to get the mulch that didn't have a bunch of ants in it, because a lot of times the ants tend to want to dig through this stuff and start making homes in it. So I'll show you another thing that I do when I plant these. See how that is now. Might be too much. Hey, how's it going? Logan, will you go get Sandy so that he doesn't start barking at him? Okay, now that I've got that about level where I want it, I'll start to pull this tree out of here. Gently pull it out. And then you'll want to softly knock off some of this soil from around the root ball. So like I said, you'll need to mix in the part where this root ball is going to be. You'll need to mix in this soil with the soil that it's going in. Okay, should be good. I'm going to set this down here. And now that we have that, we're going to mix in some of this soil. And that should help it branch its roots out properly and not stay confined to that one spot. It's not that it won't branch out a little bit, it will, it just takes longer. And the problem with that is the root structure might not be spread out far enough and deep enough by the time winter comes. And if you're in an area where it starts to get cold, what it can do is freeze. And you do not want that to happen. You don't want it to freeze. You can see our root ball is just right down in here. So, sorry, just right down in here. If you want to zoom in on this, you can see the roots starting to come off right here. So that's where this hump is right here. Typically on the trees there will be this little bump right here, right before the roots start. And you want that portion right there just about even with the ground level. So that will give you an idea what to look for. And now that I got this mixed in, I'm going to push in some of this mixed in soil up against this part. So it'll help it want to branch out a little bit better. That way we have that mixture in more with where the root ball is and out away from it a little bit. And now I can start adding in more dirt. And if you can get a bag of the mulch from the store, that's fine. You can do that and then mix this soil with that a little bit. That way it has a little bit higher content of the type of soil that it's in when it's in that pot. But I don't typically do that. Now you don't want to pack it in here. You'll just want to put it in here more gently. Filled in here a little bit. See, what I'll do is fill it in and then just leave this. Not fill it in clear to the top, but almost to it. That way you have a little bit of a rim around the tree for water to stay in a bit more. Now, peach trees like more sandy soil. They like soil that has better drainage. And this type of soil that we have here is perfect for that. Banana trees will like to grow here, peach trees, and the other kind of trees and vegetation that like high drainage soil. All right. And what we'll do is tie this tree up so that we help steer it the direction it wants to go. If you don't plant it in perfectly level, you can start making it grow the right direction by tying it up level. And that helps keep it strong as well so that the winds don't blow it over. Like here in this area, we will get stronger winds, especially when we have bad weather. Sometimes there's tornadoes around this area. not in this particular spot where we're at, but the winds will still get higher. There was actually a tornado a couple weeks ago that hit that. This tree grew kind of funny. So you can see it went up and then it started shooting out sideways a little bit. You can tell that they pruned it off when it was small. They pruned it off a little bit. But see, we have our root right here coming out, so we'll need to fill it in just a teeny bit more with some soil so that it's about level. It's going to be sticking out just a teeny bit above the ground, but that's okay. It's fine to do that. Now let's get a little bit more of this mulch. We'll spread it in here a little bit. Now that we kind of got our height set a little bit. Some little, keep the pieces of trash out. Part of a tin can. Mix this in a little bit. Just helps retain the water again, the moisture. Doesn't have to be perfect, but a little bit does help. Mix it up a little bit more. And I'm doing this as one straight run video so that you can see the whole process and about the amount of time that it takes aside from you digging the hole. Didn't take too long to dig the hole. Still need to add in a little bit more dirt on the top. And then what I'll do is after I get this next layer on the top, I will put some diatomaceous earth down to help prevent the bugs from getting to this a little bit. And then we should be set after I tie it off. So later on in the year, right now we'll have higher winds and sometimes chances of tornadoes. More of the higher winds right here where I'm at. But then later on in the year, we'll have hurricanes. So I'm about 2 hours away from the coast when it comes to driving. So we don't get hit as bad here with those winds from the hurricanes. We don't get hit as bad as the coastal areas. And we kind of live in a pocket where really we don't get hit as bad anyway. Just this particular area, for some reason, doesn't get those winds quite as bad. So we're in a little pocket. Which is kind of nice. But, alright. I don't think I got any more of that, but it's okay. I'll just push this dirt around a little bit more. Level it out so we can kind of see where our state of level is at with that root ball. Level it out. And if you put too much in, then you can just push it off to the sides. It'll help create a little berm around this tree. And then I'll probably grab some of that extra dirt and finish making my berm. Okay, might be a little bit longer video, but like I said, I want to show the whole process.
Hey, poor Sandy!
Silly kids. You know, sometimes kids will find the most interesting things to argue about. It's pretty funny. I was like that when I was a kid too, though. Okay. Pack this berm in a little bit. You just don't want to pack this in too much. We'll tie it off to help give it its strength at first. That way its root system can start to develop. And then once it gets strong enough, we can take the supports off of it. That way it can start to gain more strength on its own. Okay, now that we have that, I'm gonna put in a little layer of this diatomaceous earth so that these ants and other insects tend to not want to be around here as much. So it'll kill them off is what it'll do. Diatomaceous earth will cut. It's like little pieces of razor blade is what it is. And it cuts their shells and dries them out and kills them. So now that I got that, what I'll do is throw in just a little layer of mulch on top of this whole thing to help retain some of that moisture. Throw some diatomaceous earth on top of that. Tie the tree off and we'll be good to go. So that's pretty much it for this. We'll be planting more trees in the future. I won't show that though. What I'll do is just show it once I'm done. That way you guys don't have to sit through another planting video unless you like that. If you like it, let me know and I can do a few more videos like this. But again, we'll be planting a garden. Not sure where yet. We'll get that figured out. And once I got that going, I'll show that as well. But, well, that's it for today. Hope everyone had a good time and enjoyed this video. Please like it if you did. Comment if you have any suggestions, if you got any questions. And subscribe. Everybody, take care and have a good one. I'll see you next time.